Has common sense at the campground completely flown out the window and now become a thing of the past? Have you ever booked a site next to somebody and saw some things that made you think, how are we ever going to make it through the weekend? Well, you're in luck. Today we're talking about bad camping etiquette and 7 things you should never ever do at the campground. I'm Andy. Welcome back to the Camping Loop. Well, we're back at the compound today, and it's a whopping 3 degrees outside. I'm not kidding you. Looks nicer, but it's not. And I want to keep my fingers on my toes, so we're going to film in the truck today. Anyway, any campground you check into is going to hand you a list of rules, but is everything covered? Here's 7 things you're probably not going to find anywhere listed. Number 1, being the campground drunk. If you guys have ever been camping on a holiday weekend, it's not hard to spot this guy. Or gal, let's be honest, let's be fair, everybody should get their shot to ruin the weekend. But they're like the one friend who can't just have a couple of drinks. They start by noon, and by 7 o'clock, it's turned into a competition of who can shout the loudest without falling into the fire. And by 9 o'clock, the slurred F-bombs start flying as they try to explain to you how they became one with nature because they puked on a tree. It's not a good look is what I'm saying here, folks. You don't want to be the guy who stumbles out of his RV looking like he survived a hurricane while his wife's shouting at him to apologize to the neighbors so they can salvage the weekend. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with tossing back a few cocktails. We certainly know how that goes, but I also know my limit and how to behave. Number 2, staying past your reservation. Last year, we drove about 2.5 hours or so to a state park, and even after going through the check-in process and them giving us our pass, we show up over to the site only to find the other people's RVs still there, and nothing's been packed up. Now, of course, they're nowhere to be found, probably down at the beach soaking up the sun. I'm thinking that they thought checkout time was a suggestion and not a rule. And instead, we get stuck on a crappy small site with acorns falling and smacking the camper roof all night. This is extremely aggravating, especially because we get around. We know what sites we like. That's why we book them. Needless to say, we left the next morning, and I did. I took the time to drive by and thank the guy for refusing to leave, and I don't think he's a subscriber. But don't be this guy. When your time's up, it's up. Clean your site up, move along, and let the next person come in and enjoy it. Number 3, fighting with your spouse. Now let me break this down for you, fellas. This usually happens on 3 different levels, and there's signs, so pay attention. Level 1, the tame, we need to talk look. This is where your wife is just mildly annoyed. You can see it in her face, usually there's an eye roll, and something's going to be mumbled under her breath. This is still considered a safe zone. This is typically where I'm at in Wendy's eyes, and she hasn't killed me yet. Next is level 2. It's like a puppy that's aware of something's wrong, but they're not quite sure what yet. This is where their phone's going to come out, and they're going to reach out for backup emotional support from a friend. This is where the trouble starts. If they're at this level, start backpedaling, and quickly, you're running out of time. Then there's level 3, doomsday scenario. This is where the argument starts to threaten ruining the entire weekend that everybody in the campground can hear, and we're freaking taking sides. We've seen pots and pans thrown, RV doors start getting slammed. It's not pretty, and here's a pro tip. No matter how bad the argument is over who forgot to do the dishes or whose turn it is, don't forget to laugh. Because at the end of the day, you're camping. It's not family court, and everybody else already is. Number 4, picking sites too close together. You guys ever been to a restaurant out to dinner, you show up a little early, the place is empty, you pick a booth in the corner, and 5 minutes later somebody else comes in and picks the booth directly right behind you? Pretty annoying, right? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? It's like that. If you pull into a campground that has plenty of open sites available, don't take the one right next to your neighbor. Now, this doesn't happen a lot here in New York as the sites are usually booked in advance, but on a weekday or end of the season or something like that, don't be this guy. Give your neighbor some space. Number 5, trashing the campground bathrooms. Now, I'm not sure if New York State was short-staffed last year, or maybe we were always camping with fraternities, but the bathrooms really showed it. We opened one stall and the toilet seats ripped right off, and there's a wad of used toilet paper on the floor. Like, what the hell even happened in here? There's always a mystery puddle that you're trying to avoid like lava. Like, seriously, is this water or something else? Bathrooms are supposed to be a place to do your business and get clean. It's not show and tell, so flush the toilet. And grab a paper towel and wipe your mess up in the sink. Seriously, it takes 10 seconds to be a decent human. Do your part. Help keep these places clean. And if you ate beans or chili or something like that the night before for dinner, bring a can of Febreze. Number 6, not returning or abusing something that you borrowed. Now, borrowing something at a campground setting, it comes with some sort of code. It's all about respect, trust, and good neighbors that might have what you need. Maybe it's salt and pepper. Maybe it's bug spray. I don't know what you guys forgot. Point is, they shouldn't have to come ask for it back. It should be returned to them in better shape than when you got it. We learned an expensive example about 2 or 3 years back. We had to rent one of the extension cords from a state park that was about 4.5 hours away. It was one of those parks that had the shared pole in the middle of the two sites, so we were a little short. Anyway, in the midst of cleaning up and packing up and pumping off the camper, that cord got thrown in the back of the truck, meaning to drop it off on the office on the way home. Instead, took a 4-hour trip with us. We called them when we got home, told them what happened, asked if there was a way we could pay for it. They said it would be $110. We mailed them a check. Now we own a 50-foot cord we'll probably never use again. Number 7, not watching your kids. Are you the type of camper that lets your kids run amok all over the campground all hours of the night while you're over at the neighbors on your 5th glass of wine? Just have them check in on their phone once in a while. They'll probably be fine, right? No. Last year, we watched a group of 3 teen boys riding around their bikes, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, throwing firecrackers at people's sites. Like, where the hell are your parents? 3 loops over, 12 beers deep, playing cornhole? 9 times out of 10, these are the sites that the campground owner shows up to the next morning asking how the swing set got broken or why all the men's toilet paper got pulled out of the stalls and jammed into the sink last night. Keep in mind, this is a campground. You're not paying anybody to watch your kids, and it's not your daycare. If your kids are old enough to be out there wandering around alone, they're old enough to be held responsible. And listen, before we go, if you found this video helpful at all or you liked it, there's plenty more down in the description. And when you're there, don't forget to hit that button for me. It's free, doesn't fight, it's easy. You're going to get to see more videos like this. As always, we appreciate you guys watching. We'll catch you in the next one.